My name is Eleanor Vance, and I am 78 years old. You just moved in, and already are ruining everything. My son Ansel's voice slammed into me. He stood in the doorway of the tiny, airless office they called my room. He was furious that his son, Leo, had lost his bedroom so I could move in. I hadn't even unpacked my suitcase, but I was already a problem. I had been here for 3 weeks. I came because Ansel had promised, "We'll take care of you, Mom," after I had a minor stroke last year. So, I sold my home of 40 years. I left my garden, my memories, and my independence, believing I was moving in with family. I thought I was doing the right thing, moving in where I was wanted. The truth was, they wanted a bigger home, but they didn't have the money. I did what mothers do. I sold my house, cashed in the bonds my late husband Arthur left me, and I handed over the down payment. It was every cent I had. $450,000, all sunk into this new, 2-story house. But the promises were cheap. "Why did you even come here?" Ansel hissed. "This was a new start for us. You've disrupted everything." His wife, Clarissa, stood behind him, her arms crossed in cold agreement. I wasn't family. I was an obligation. I was just the down payment, and I was in their way. That night, I lay awake on the stiff cot. I heard Ansel in the hall, muttering that Leo was sick because he wasn't in his own room. The slam of his bedroom door confirmed it. I had traded my entire life for the illusion of belonging, and I had been ripped off. I was alone, in a house I had paid for. I sat up and pulled out the small notebook I kept in my purse. I wrote, Day 21. My name is Eleanor Vance. I sold my house to buy theirs. And today, my son told me I'm the reason his son has no room. They thought I was finished. They thought I was weak. They had forgotten who I really was. The next 2 weeks were a quiet, suburban hell. I became a ghost in the house I had paid for, ignored by Ansel and Clarissa. I did the laundry, folded their towels, and ate my meals alone in my tiny room. They started forgetting to set a place for me at the table. I was invisible. I was just the unpaid help. Then, one Tuesday morning, my phone rang. "Mrs. Eleanor Vance?" a professional voice asked. "This is Marcia from United Federal Bank. I'm calling to confirm your application for a $100,000 home equity line of credit." My knees went weak. I felt the blood drain from my face. I had to sit down. What?" I whispered. Marcia, her voice now cautious, explained the application was submitted online. It was submitted jointly with an Ansel Vance, my son. They just needed my final, in-person signature to release the funds. He was trying to steal from me. He was forging my name to take out a loan on my house. My blood ran cold. He was stealing. But a new, hard thought cut through the fear. Why did they need my signature so badly? Why was I the primary applicant? My mind raced back to the day we signed the closing papers. They had been in such a rush to get the low interest rate. I went to my room and dug my suitcase out of the closet. In a hidden compartment, I kept my important documents in a manila envelope. My husband, Arthur, always told me, "Eleanor, you keep the papers. You're the smart one." I fumbled with the staple, my hands shaking as I spread the pages on my cot. And there it was. In bold, black ink. Owner of record, Eleanor M. Vance. To secure the loan, the broker had put the mortgage and the deed entirely in my name. Ansel and Clarissa's names were nowhere on it. They weren't my caretakers. They were my tenants. And they had no idea. The sadness vanished, replaced by a cold, pure anger. I wasn't a victim. I was a fool. And I was done being a fool. I immediately drove to the bank and sat with Marcia. I told her the application was fraudulent and to freeze all my accounts. She nodded kindly. "It's elder financial abuse, Mrs. Vance. We see this too often. My next stop was not the grocery store. It was an electronics store. I walked straight to the back. I need the smallest, simplest, voice-activated recorder you have, I told the clerk. He showed me a tiny black rectangle. I paid in cash and slipped it into my pocket. When I returned, the air in the house was thick. Ansel was home early, pacing the kitchen while Clarissa chain-smoked on the patio. The second I walked in, they went silent. I went to my room, flipped the switch on the tiny recorder, and tucked it deep into the pocket of my housecoat. I came out to start dinner, my heart hammering. As I chopped carrots at the sink, their whispering started again. The bank called, Ansel hissed. The account is frozen. She knows. Clarissa's voice was a panicky whisper. What do we do? The credit card bills, we're finished. It'll be fine, Ansel said, his voice suddenly cold. We just have to speed things up. Clarissa asked what he meant. She's 78, he said. She's frail. People have accidents. A fall down the stairs, a mistake with her medication. It's only a matter of time. I dropped the knife. They were plotting. He continued, we'll get power of attorney, put her in a state home, and the house will be ours. I went to my room, claiming I felt dizzy, and locked the door. I pulled the recorder from my pocket. I pressed play. And I listened to my only son plot my death. I did not sleep. I sat in that chair all night, a prisoner in my own home, listening to the recording on repeat. I was not safe. I had to get out, but I was not going to run. I remembered my late husband's lawyer, Tom Hargrove. Arthur always said, a good lawyer is worth more than a good doctor. I had to escape. When Ansel came downstairs, he offered to drive me to a checkup. He was starting his narrative. We need to be more involved in your health, Mom. My blood ran cold. No, I said, forcing a frail laugh. It's a female problem, dear. You'd be embarrassed. I've already called a cab. He backed off, annoyed. The moment the cab turned the corner, I gave the driver a new address, Tom Hargrove's downtown office. His secretary, Mildred, saw the look on my face and showed me right in. Eleanor, Tom said, standing up, his face full of concern. What's wrong? I sat down. For the first time, I let myself cry. I cried for my lost home, for my dead husband, and for the son I no longer recognized. Then, I stopped. I opened my purse. I laid the deed on his desk. I laid the fraudulent loan application on his desk. Finally, I placed the small black voice recorder on the polished wood. I need you to listen to this, Tom, I said. I watched his face as he played it. His concern turned to shock, and his shock turned to a cold, righteous fury. His knuckles turned white. When it finished, he was silent. Eleanor, he finally said, his voice dangerously quiet, this is monstrous. You are not going back to that house. He picked up the phone. Mildred, get me a locksmith, a security company, and a process server. And book Mrs. Vance a room at the Four Seasons. I spent that afternoon in a hotel suite so luxurious it felt like a dream. By 3 p.m., Tom called. It's done, he said. The locks are changed. An officer escorted Ansel and Clarissa off the property. They were allowed to take only their necessities, clothes, medications, toothbrushes. The restraining order is in place. The next morning, I woke up to my phone vibrating like an angry hornet. 99 plus missed calls. 50 plus texts. Mom, what did you do? This is illegal. We have kids. Where are we supposed to go? Then a call came in from Clarissa. I answered. What did you do to us? She shrieked, all pretense of kindness gone. Our clothes are in there. The kids' toys. My jewelry. You can't just throw us out on the street. We have nothing. Her voice was high and hysterical. I did what you told me to do, Clarissa, I said, my voice perfectly calm. I got out. Besides, you had $450,000 of my money. You just wanted more. Ansel was stressed. He didn't mean it, she cried. He wouldn't hurt you. You're his mother. I waited a beat. He was planning my accident, Clarissa. I know. I have the voice recording. The line went dead silent. She was choking. You recorded us? Then the mask came off completely. You old bitch. I may be old, I said, but I'm not stupid. You have 30 days to schedule a time with my lawyer to retrieve your things. I hung up, blocked her number, and ordered pancakes. The fallout was swift and brutal. Ansel and Clarissa, I learned from Tom, were living in a cheap motel by the highway. Their accounts were frozen pending Tom's investigation. It turned out Clarissa had quit her job months ago, and Ansel was also being investigated at his own company for embezzlement. They were ruined. I, on the other hand, was thriving. Tom sold the house for a $100,000 profit. The money went into a new, ironclad trust. I moved into a beautiful senior community called the Palisades. It wasn't a home, it was a resort. I made new friends, a group of hilarious women in my water aerobics class we called the Aqua Dames. 1 month later, the front desk called me in the library. Mrs. Vance, a Mr. Ansel Vance is in the lobby, demanding to see you. He's very upset. I walked to a pillar where I could see him. It was Ansel, but he was a ghost of himself. Unshaven, wrinkled suit, eyes darting like a cornered animal. Clarissa and the children were with him, all of them looking terrified. He saw me. Moem, he roared, breaking away from security. Please. You have to stop this. I was fired. We're living in our car. In our car. He grabbed my arm, sobbing. We're sorry. Just give us the house back. I looked at his face. He wasn't sorry for what he did. He was sorry he got caught. He was sorry his ATM was empty. I pulled my arm away. Get him out, I told the guards. You're a monster, he shrieked as they dragged him away. I knelt in front of my grandson, Leo. I love you, I whispered, my heart breaking for him. This is not your fault. But I can't help your father anymore. I stood up, turned my back on my son's screams, and walked away. I was haunted by the image of my grandchildren's pale, terrified faces. I went to Tom's office the next morning. I can't let them sleep in a car, Tom, I said. But I will not give Ansel a single dollar. Tom, ever the planner, nodded. Then we cut him out. Permanently. Tom made 2 calls. The first was to Child Protective Services, filing a report that the Vance children were homeless. The second was to Clarissa's parents. They had been told I was the villain, that I had stolen the house from them. They were wealthy and influential. Tom arranged a meeting. He didn't just talk to them. He played the recording. Clarissa's mother reportedly fainted. Her father, a stoic businessman, turned white with rage. They were horrified. Within 24 hours, the situation was resolved. Clarissa's parents drove to the motel. They took Leo and Maya. They gave their daughter an ultimatum: divorce Ansel and get into intensive therapy, or she would lose her children and her family forever. She chose her children. Ansel was left with nothing. No wife, no kids, no money. The last I heard, he was arrested for trying to pass a bad check. My life, however, began to bloom. At the Palisades, I even met a kind, gentle man named Arthur, a retired professor. It was quiet. It was respectful. One day, my phone rang. Grandma? It was Maya. Her other grandmother was letting her call. I miss you, she whispered. Tears filled my eyes. I miss you, too, sweetheart. I love you so much. The rope to my son was cut, but this small, precious thread remained. It was all I needed. A year of peace passed. It was a good year. I saw Leo and Maya every other weekend. Clarissa, now in therapy and working, was always polite. We were not friends, but we coexisted for the children. Ansel, my son, was serving 18 months in prison, not for what he did to me, but for embezzlement. I sat with Tom Hargrove in his office to finalize my affairs. My estate, with the profit from the house, was worth over $1.2 million. Let's go over the new will, Eleanor, Tom said, sliding the document to me. I had left a small sum to my dear friend, Arthur, for a trip to Italy we had always talked about. The remainder, Tom read, is to be split. 99% of the estate is to be placed in the Leo and Maya Vance Education Trust. The funds are protected and can only be used for their healthcare, education, and a first home. This trust, he continued, explicitly forbids any funds from being used by, or co-signed to, their parents, Ansel or Clarissa. I nodded. That's correct. I am securing their future. And the final bequest? Tom asked gently. To my son, Ansel Vance, I read, I leave the sum of $1. For services not rendered. To my former daughter-in-law, Clarissa, I leave $1. To buy a conscience. Tom looked at me. Are you absolutely certain, Eleanor? I looked out the window. I had a son, Tom. He's gone. That man in prison is a stranger, and I owe him nothing. I picked up the heavy pen. My hand didn't shake. I signed my name, protecting my legacy from the one person who tried to destroy it. Years passed. Life was good. Ansel was released from prison, but he was just a ghost. He never tried to contact me or the children. He just disappeared. Clarissa, however, was slowly rebuilding her life. She was a good mother. I was in my painting class, trying to make a cloud look less like a potato, when a letter was delivered. I didn't recognize the handwriting. Back in my apartment, I opened it. Dear Eleanor, my breath caught. It was from Clarissa. I am not writing to ask for forgiveness. I know that's impossible. I am not writing for money. She wrote that she was in therapy, that she saw the kids, and that they loved me very much. I was weak, she wrote. I was a coward. I listened to Ansel's poison. I saw you as a problem, not as the person who gave me a home, who watched my children, who only ever showed me kindness. I live with that shame every day, the letter continued. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I don't even deserve for you to read this. I am just sorry. I am so sorry, Eleanor. For everything. You don't need to write back. I read the letter 3 times. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel pity. I just felt a quiet click. Like a lock finally turning. I believed she was sorry. Not because she got caught, like Ansel, but because she finally understood the wreckage. I walked to my small electric fireplace. I held the letter to the flame. I watched the paper curl, turn black, and flake away into ash. I let it go. It was the last ghost. I was free. I am 83 years old now, and my life is full. My friend Arthur and I took that trip to Italy. It was glorious. My grandchildren are thriving. Leo is 17, looking at MIT. My trust will ensure he graduates without debt. Maya is 15. She's a firecracker who wants to be a lawyer, like Mr. Tom, to help grandmas. Clarissa is a good mother. We see each other at birthdays. We are not friends, but we share a love for the children, and it is enough. Ansel is just a sad story I no longer tell. One evening, Maya and I were sitting on my balcony. "Grandma," she said, "Mom told me everything." "What happened with the house?" With my dad." I held my breath. "She told me how you gave them everything, and how they tried to hurt you." I didn't know what to say. "It was a long time ago, sweetie." "I know," she said. She came over and took my old, wrinkled hand. "I just wanted to say thank you." "For what?" I asked. "For being strong," she said, her voice serious. "For not letting them win. For saving yourself." Mom said. "Mom said you taught her what strength really looks like." The tears came, but they weren't tears of sorrow. They were tears of completion. My son had screamed, "You ruined our lives. Get out!" He was half right. I did get out. But I ruined no lives. I simply forced everyone to live the one they had earned. And I had earned this. I had earned this peace. Thank you for following Eleanor's incredible journey. What's the biggest lesson you're taking away from her story? Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss our next story.